Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life. It is the whole aim and the end of human existence. These were the immortal words of the great Aristotle. And I, Anubhav Chakravarti, and every member of my team believe this to the last letter. We are here to look at India from the unique perspective of the happiness index. We are here to critique it, identify the key issues, and we come with a unique solution to improve upon the happiness index of India. Should you, our dear voters, agree with our plan of action, then I request all of you to vote for us. Make us the driving force behind making India happy again. These are the top 15 countries who rank the highest on the happiness index. Now, as you can see, India is not one of them. India ranked 133rd in the World Happiness Index. Let us explain what goes behind measuring the happiness index of a country. GDP per capita measures on an average how much does an Indian citizen spend on goods and services in the country. Healthy years of life expectancy measures the average number of years a man and a woman in the country can survive without suffering from a terminal illness or a serious medical condition. Social support is the financial aid and the schemes that are put in place by the government to help the lives of the downtrodden, unemployed, and underprivileged sectors of this country. Trust is measured through a national poll, which will ask citizens questions such as how likely are they to leave the door open at night? How likely are they to trust somebody from a different community? How likely are they to trust somebody from a different state? Freedom of choice looks at the policies in place by the government and the societal stigmas which are present in the country that gives us a relative idea of the ease of living the life in this country without interference by the government or society as a whole. Generosity is again a measure of, on an average, how much is spent on acts of kindness by the government and its citizens alike. This could be spent by the government to help other countries. This could also be the net amount of money that is spent by the citizens of a country on a whole to NGOs and other non-profit organizations. India's rank in the World Happiness Index has been consistently falling. In 2016, we were 118, and it wasn't that bad. But somehow we dropped the buck in 2017, and we haven't been able to pick up ever since. In fact, we've done much worse. Let us ask ourselves the question, why is India unhappy?
India is sad, very, very sad. Mahatma Gandhi, father of our nation, once said, happiness is when what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. Looks like we Indians are going wrong somewhere. Why is India unhappy? After intense research, we were able to identify the major factors that have contributed to such a dismal state of affairs in our country. They are socioeconomic inequality, environmental degradation, poor government policy, and social backlog. Let's look at all of them in detail. The first one is socioeconomic inequality. India has always been in news for all the wrong reasons. It is now hitting the headlines as one of the most unequal countries in the world, whether one measures inequality on the basis of income or wealth. According to a report by the Johannesburg based company New World Health, India is the second most unequal country globally, with millionaires controlling 54% of its wealth. With the total individual wealth of $5,600 billion, it's among the 10 richest countries in the world, and yet the average Indian is relatively poor. What exactly has led to this rising socioeconomic inequality? Disparity of income, high cost of standard of living, system of slums in metro cities, and poor quality of education. And why do we think looking at this is important? Well, rising inequality will lead to slower poverty reduction, undermine the sustainability of economic growth, compound the inequalities between men and women, and drive inequalities in health and education. The next cause of India's unhappiness is social backlog. While on paper we are a functioning democracy, freedom is often the privilege of the upper classes, social or economic. Social backlog is essentially caused by the four prominent factors: gender inequality, reservation systems in education, orthodox religious beliefs, and poor civic sense. There is little freedom for minorities, religious or sexual, in making their life choices. Women are still considered inferior and locked up inside their houses. 1 in 5 cases of honor killing internationally every year comes from India. A 13-year analysis of crime data reveals there is one rape every 30 minutes in India. Can anyone, hand on heart, assert that people from backward castes or the poor are truly free today? Reservation system was put in place but has been completely messed up by India's politics.
Environmental degradation happens to be one of the major determining factors behind a country's falling happiness. We have identified poor waste and emissions management, reckless deforestation, lack of environmental awareness, and slow adoption of energy efficient technologies as the main reasons behind environmental degradation. All these factors are interrelated and require immediate attention. Last but not the least, it's the governance which shapes the experience of a citizen. In India, poor governance is a big issue because of rampant corruption, lack of transparency in public policies, poor incentives to entrepreneurs, and poor budget allocation, in particular, a lot of free buys. As a party, we realize the importance of each of these issues and are determined to take the governance to the next level. Before going to plan how to improve India's happiness, we analyzed Bhutan, which is one of the happiest countries in our neighborhood and shares similar geopolitical conditions. We found that in Bhutan, happiness policies include green and clean development, socially responsible development, free education, free healthcare, as well as mandated 60% forest cover. In fact, we are also taking lessons from Bhutan's findings on gross national happiness.
To tackle the key issues highlighted in the previous slides, we as a party propose a 4-point restoration program of the happiness index of India.
For a country like India, which is rich in culture and national heritage, it is important to promise equality in education as well as work opportunities and the equal pay part for men, women, and LGBTQ. We are looking for an inclusive culture where we also wish to change the reservation system from caste based system to an economic based system. We plan to spend a part of our GDP budget on the tourism promotion, on preservation of wildlife, and on development of special ecosystems for our endangered species. Good governance is one of the basic agendas that we plan to incorporate. We want to introduce transparency in the system by reducing corruption, by incentivizing and securing our whistleblowers, and by conducting open panchayats in presence of press and media. We plan to invest a part of our budget for the welfare of armed forces who are responsible to protect our country and make sure everybody is living happily. We also plan to increase the job limit from 100 to 300 days, thus ensuring employment and self sufficiency in the households.
So, an important part that encapsulates gross national happiness is environmental preservation. On this front, our party believes that spreading awareness and taking initiatives to drive certain activities will go a long, long way. Our party believes that we need to start small but scale up in a big way to contribute towards sustainable environmental preservation. Thereby, we propose a garden waste mulching drive to reduce particulate emissions. Data suggests that an effective garden waste mulching reduces the particulate emissions by close to 15%. We also propose a nationwide awareness campaign named Plant a Tree to Celebrate a Newborn. Whilst ambitious, we believe that this awareness campaign can really help in cutting down the CO2 emissions by almost 3 times relative to the current value. A party will ensure to make informed policies, screen them intermittently, and continuously calibrate them for further improvement. Our policies, as mentioned and recommended, will ensure that you are in best of health, that you get the best of education, and that you thrive in an atmosphere that promotes equality, participation, and anti corruption. So, folks, these were our noble agendas to pave way for a happier India. Vote for happiness, vote for Happy Janta Party.